Today, in 2022, restricting American citizens from purchasing firearms has the same effect as the Black Codes of 1865. The end result is people, especially Black folks, are unable to secure a gun, which leaves them vulnerable. To me, that is unacceptable and un-American.
President of the African American Gun Club dropped some truth bombs before the Senate. Welcome to another installment of the Connecticut Gun Bench. Today's video is brought to you by P.A.N. Firearms, LLC, P.A.N. Firearms through NRA certification and multifaceted gun training. You can reach us at 203-300-6343 or use our website at www.panfirearmsllc.com. As always, there'll be a link in the description box below. And let's talk about this. Now, this article came to me just the other day. I actually saw this yesterday. And I wanted to talk on it because as a so-called African American, actually I consider myself an American, but it's a whole nother situation. But Philip T. Smith, who is the founder of the National African American Gun Association, or the NAAGA, spoke before the Senate Judiciary Committee, and he dropped the truth bomb. He's saying that his proclaim is that 21st century gun control is the Black Code laws of the 1800s. Now, let me go into here. This is from Breitbart, and you see the title here. NAAGA President tells Senate Judiciary Committee 21st century gun control is a redo of 19th century Black codes. And what he's referring to there, of course, are the laws passed mostly in the South, predominantly in the South, that basically the laws pretty much straightforward said, no Black person. Much like the gun control that was passed during the Third Reich in Germany, where it basically just replaced Black person with Jew, same thing. But they basically banned Black people from owning firearms because obviously after the Civil War and the first Civil Rights Movement, African Americans were granted citizenship. So in order to counter that, a lot of the southern states put in onerous and singularity gun control laws that prevented Black people from owning firearms. I'm going to jump in here. National African American Gun Association and NAAGA President Philip T. Smith spoke before the Senate Judiciary Committee Wednesday and told them that 21st century gun control is a throwback to 19th century Black Code, as we heard. Smith told the committee that NAAGA is a pro-2A, pro-constitutional carry, and pro-Black firearms organization with no apologies. He made clear he sees himself as someone who speaks for Black Americans who own guns, as well as those who were never allowed to do so. Smith recalled Black codes that were used throughout the post-Civil War South to prevent Black Americans from owning guns and being able to defend themselves. He said, the goal of these laws was to keep the Black community uncontrolled and defenseless. That's exactly what they were for. He said today, in 2022, restricting American citizens from purchasing firearms has the same effect as the Black Code laws of 1865. The end result is people, especially Black folks, are unable to secure a gun, which leaves them vulnerable. To me, that is unacceptable and un-American. Smith also highlighted surging gun ownership among Black women, saying Black women are coming and they are coming in large numbers. Currently, they are the fastest group of new gun owners in the United States, and I'm proud to say they are the backbone of the National African American Gun Association. And I'm going to point out a fact, and this is, I know some people are going to be balking at this, but Black women arming themselves, who are they going to be potentially having problems with? Okay, statistically, I know I'm right, and you know I'm right, so if you're going to balk at it, that's your problem. But never before have so many Black Americans had guns. It is estimated that at least 14 million currently have firearms in their homes, and good for them. Now, I want to come out of that and go right over to here. This is from the Atlanta Voice. Now, I've done a video on this prior. I've done a video talking about gun control and how it got its start. Gun control got its foundations and its roots in racism. That's where it came from. That's the first gun control laws were based on racism. I think I was talking about Joe Biden when he made the statement that not everyone could own a firearm. And I agreed with him. I said, you're absolutely right. Back in the 1900s, early 1900s, late 1800s, not everyone could own a firearm. And that was mostly due to racism. I'm gonna come back over here. This is just an overview, but gun control historically has meant prohibiting blacks from owning one. This is talking about the historical black code laws, okay? And I'm gonna come to here. Before the Civil War, states mostly in the South enacted slave codes prohibiting blacks from owning guns. Adam Winkler, a UCLA law professor, said during slavery, blacks were prohibited from owning guns because whites feared they would rise up and abolish slavery through a civil war. You have to remember, there were more slaves in the South than there were actual citizens of the same area. So that was definitely a concern for them. But in 1865, after the Civil War ended, states renamed the slave codes black codes with the same purpose of prohibiting African Americans from owning guns. Preventing gun ownership among blacks began at the beginning of the nation's history. Virginia was founded in 1624, but by 1640, blacks were prohibited from owning guns. You got to remember, they were free black people who lived in the South. They were not slaves, or a few number of them. Virginia enacted a statute that led to a total gun ban for free mulattoes, Negroes, and Indians in 1712. The statute was revised, calling for a total ban or total gun ban for Negroes to prevent insurrections according to laws designed to disarm slaves, free men, and African Americans. A research paper. It was written by a guy out of Harvard. I'm going to put that in the link in the description box so you can read it. It's very interesting. In 1792, blacks were excluded from joining the militia, which was created under the Second Amendment to the Constitution. The militia was limited to able-bodied white men between 18 and 45. Other states enacted similar laws. In Florida, home of slaves and free blacks were searched for guns. If a gun was found, it was confiscated. In 1828, Florida said free blacks could carry guns if they had court permission. It wasn't until the Civil War that black men who fought for the Union Army were freed to carrying guns. Now, it's starting to talk about more recent events. Here, where prohibition against black owning guns continues to crop up. 1968, Congress passed the Gun Control Act. Robert Sherrill, a supporter, said the legislation was passed not to control guns, but to control blacks. In 1994, the Clinton administration introduced H.R. 3838 to ban guns in federal public housing, where we know that predominantly black people frequent, which would have affected 3 million individuals. The House Banking Committee rejected the legislation. So there you go. Gun buyback was also a way to keep guns out of black hands. Now, I'm going to come out of that. Here's my thought. I am in full agreement that gun control was founded in racism. I did a video about this last year. That's where gun control got its start from, was in racism. And we've come a long ways from that. But I've looked a little bit into the NAAGA, and I'm not too big on groups, and then it goes for either end for groups that make race central to the issue. And that goes for everybody. So once again, people can jump up and go, "Whoa, what about?" I don't give a damn about what about. We are Americans, and we better start paying attention, because here's the thing that most people aren't even thinking about. With all this gun control going on, is at the end of it, if they get what they want, at the end of it, you're going to have two classes of people. You're going to have the elites and the rest of us. And the black elites are not going to be on the rest of us side. They're going to go along with the flow. You know, you can better believe that. And we're all going to find ourselves in the same boat. So we all better start getting it together. And I've kind of advocated once or twice that every single gun group in this country should have a loose affiliation with each other. I don't see why it has to be about race or anything else. You know, we can argue the history of this country, fine. But we are here now today. We better realize that we are all in the same boat. All of us, and race has nothing to do with this. We better realize when they pass these gun control laws, they are for all of us except for the elite. Because if you think Biden or any president, regardless of race, gender, whatever, you think they're going to go around with no security and the weapons that they're trying to ban out of your hands, you think they're actually not going to protect themselves with those weapons? You think they also need to grow a conscience and say, well, it's a little hypocritical for me to go around with being protected by the very things I say you can't have? No, that's not going to happen. So we better wake up to that ideal. But let me know what you think. As always, you can leave your comments in the comment section below. And as always, any statements of violence or statements that lead to violence will be removed. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you're notified the next video goes live. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.